you would call a ladies' man.
No.
You know, I'm not a real big skirt chaser.
A small-time skirt chaser?
There is a secret. I will tell you after the show.
Go on, what's the secret?
Don't chase women.
Really?
They'll chase you.
Is that your strategy?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Works very well. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this because...
Explore this technique for me. So what is the technique of letting them chase you? How do you make yourself known as potentially available?
Just don't do it. Don't, you meet a lady, you express to her how wonderful she looks or how you respond to the way she looks or whatever it is, and then go on about your business.
And does it ever
They're
fail?
Curious, they're like horses in a pasture sometimes. You walk into a pasture and the horse sees you. He's coming over to investigate. And if you see a lady and you don't go, drooling all over her, she's going to want to know why.
So you've basically a lifetime of non-drooling has been a successful strategy.
Yeah, it works fine.
And yeah.
Hello all, and welcome back to my channel, Red Femme Diaries. Hi all. So here we are. We are on part 3 of the series that I've been doing called History Talks. So, as we all know, I am a struggle channel. I make no bones about that. I'm very open about that. So technically, we are actually supposed to be on number 5 in this series, but because we struggle, we are on number 3. But let me explain something to you guys. I have a perfect vision of how I would love for this channel to go, but because of different life circumstances, unfortunately, I'm only able to produce content when I'm able to produce content. So tonight, I'm producing content after work, after the kids go to bed. My oldest one had in his Bible class, they had a project to do, and they don't really have the project. I have the project. So, and then some technical difficulties, but I'm here. So as much as I wish that I could give you guys like the top-notch, state-of-the-art, like content like O'Shea Duke Jackson, I wish I could provide you guys that. Unfortunately, I'm unable. So I am just thankful that you guys rock with me anyway. So I'm about to tell you some stuff right now, and it's probably not going to happen. So yeah, you guys, on I believe on Friday or Saturday, I'm going to have part 4. It's going to be popping. Probably not. I still have that interview where I'm supposed to be, there's 2 I was supposed to have. One where I'm going to talk about how this channel got started, and another gentleman wants me on his podcast, and he wants me to talk about death and how I'm handling all these things. So all this stuff is popping, but because I struggle, I'm not sure if any of that's going to happen. But we're here today, and we're here to do number 3 in our series, His Story Talks. And in this series, I am talking to different men, predominantly Black men, who have gone through certain types of trauma at the hands of Black women. And some have said to me, some have asked the question of me, why do I, a Black woman, care so much? And why would I make a point to create a platform for Black men to come on here and talk about the things that they've gone through? And I'll tell you why. To me, it seems so obvious, but I have to understand, I guess, in this world, it's not typical for a woman like me to speak about these things. I believe that the world is a much better place when the man is at the head. I know, it sounds crazy. I do believe that. When I call 911, or if my house is on fire, I want men to show up. I want them to show up because they're stronger. And they don't live life through their emotions. When I think about CEOs of company and heads of states, and even the president even, I think of a man, because he has the ability to make decisions outside of emotions. I believe that a man should always be at the head of a woman. Now, is it ever perfect? And, no, this is the ideal, and this is what we all should strive for. I personally believe that the um, women's lib, women's suffrage, all these things, I believe that that was one of the most damaging things to this nation, because it began to slowly take men out of their place of headship. And I do not believe that that is the way to go. So I have these stories about men that have suffered. And I mean that, suffered, in these times where we've tried to force the woman into a place of headship. The Black woman being the one that has been the most affected by this, and was bought into the lie that masculinity is toxic. So we bring these men on and they tell their stories. Our first story, we did Floyd, and he talked about paternity fraud. We never talk about the man and his pain and his trauma. We don't talk about that. Second one, we had Justin, and Justin was a man that was going through not only verbal abuse, but emotional abuse and physical abuse. And he didn't even tell you guys all of it. So we have another man coming on now, and I'm going to invite him on now, and I am going to let him introduce himself. So he should be here soon. We're struggling right now. There he is. Y'all got this. I'm not that much of a struggle. Hello there. Are you there? Hi, are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. I had to click on something. I'm
No
sorry about
worries.
that.
Oh, no, you're just fine. Hi, how are you?
Hi, very good, Red Fem. It's very nice to see you again. Yes.
All right. Nice to be talking to you. So I just was speaking to our audience a little bit, and I was just getting to the point where I was going to introduce you. So if you could, please introduce yourself to my audience.
Hi, I'm David Martin. I've my background, I'm an accountant with the BA and an MBA. Grew up in the East Coast of the USA and middle America, you would say. Middle income America, that is. Parents were middle income type people, father a police officer, mother a social worker. Small family, just me and my sister. And then I think the story that me and Red Fem talked about was she had been asking me she knew about my background and that I've been married twice. First marriage didn't last long. Second marriage.
Well, before we get into that, before we dive into that part, can you tell us why you chose to come on to this platform and pretty much tell us very intimate details about your life?
Well, as you know, I'm a subscriber of Red Fem Diaries, and also I comment on your platform several times, but then we got to know each other. We've known each other for a little while now, and because of that, you found out my personal situation from just discussions that we had, and I myself and yourself thought it would be good to help others, to hopefully they can avoid some of the traps that I fell into in a situation. I would say that I don't have a bad life. I just don't have the optimal life that I should have. And I would
Right.
like other others to sort of learn from my mistakes so that maybe they could make better choices, live better lives than what I have done.
Gotcha. So let's kind of just dig on in here. So are you married currently?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and how many times have you been married?
Twice.
Twice. So let's go to your very first marriage and just give us a little bit of history on that first marriage.
The first marriage, um, I had I had completed college, been out of college several years, um, and I was a young man, not too young. I'd gone through and actually, um, I was a shy young man. So I had went through and met young ladies. I I didn't understand my value. That's what I would definitely say. I didn't understand my value, and so I was always either too shy to meet a girl that I really would have wanted to be with, or yes. And then other times, I never quite seemed to meet the right person, even though I'd go to church, I would go to different social events. Um, and part of it was my mindset. I never thought that I looked as good as I should have.
Mm,
I didn't drive the car that I should have. And then, I probably joined the wrong church and
mm,
sort of things like I know I joined the wrong church. I can say that. Um, and because of that, I limited my opportunities.
gotcha. So a couple of quick questions here. So would you say you're growing up were you heavily involved in a church when you were growing up?
I wasn't heavily involved. I was involved to the extent that my mother um, encouraged myself and my sister to go to church.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, and
Okay.
so, and so because of that, when I say encouraged, we would go um, a good portion, maybe at least 1 or 2 times a month.
Okay.
We would go to church and we would participate in Easter services. We participate in different things. Like one
Okay.
time I was asked to say prayer for church and
Gotcha.
things like that.
Gotcha. So your very first wife, how did you guys meet? What were the circumstances?
I met her at a nightclub
Okay.
and
What year was it?
1980, 85,
1985. So you met your first wife at a nightclub. How long were you all married?
3 months.
Okay, so you can imagine what I'm about to ask you, right?
Um,
Can you take a guess?
the guess I would say is what made us get divorced so quick.
Yes, that is, I think that's the question that everyone listening would love to know. Why divorced after 3 months?
To be short about it,
Yes.
caught her cheating on me.
Ah, gotcha. Now, how old were you at the time?
I was 27, I think.
27. And how old was she?
Oh, 20.
27, 20. Sounds like perfect ages. So what was and this time I'm going to let you tell this. What were the circumstances behind you catching her cheating on you? If you can just, give us a synopsis of that.
Um, her cousin kept telling me that she was.
Mm,
I didn't believe him at first, but he was saying, Paul, you're a nice guy. Don't know why. And so, yeah, that's what happened.
okay. Um, do you feel that you were in love with this woman? What was her name, by the way? So we can have her name.
April.
We're gonna call her April. So, were you in love with April when you proposed to her? Was this for you when you proposed to April? Was this supposed to be for life?
It would have, yes, I would say for life. That was my intent. I
Right.
wouldn't say love. I was infatuated by her great looks.
Oh, she was beautiful. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. How long did you know her before you all got married?
3 years.
3 years. So basically, the cousin tells you that she's been unfaithful to you. Is that so? You saying that's how you found out?
Yes.
Okay. And so, were there any other issues in that relationship, in that marriage?
Um. Then, um. Well, the other things was just that she was an habitual liar. I found that out.
Now, how did you find out about that?
Well, the biggest thing that I found out was when I caught her lying to her mother.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it was, but it triggered in my mind. I'm like, ooh, I've never done that. Dave, you've never done that.
Mm-hmm.
Never lied to my mother. Never.
Well, do you know what the lie was? Do you remember?
I think she said that she was someplace where she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember. It was so long ago. I can't
I know.
remember the exact
I totally
details.
understand. So just whatever you
Yeah.
can. Okay. So you saw that, and that kind of put up red flags for you. But
Yeah, that was
you
that
had by
was
that time
one.
you had already been married to her. Yes.
No, I wasn't married.
Oh, by
Um,
that. Okay, but you kind of like let that slip
I let a
past.
lot of things slide.
Gotcha.
And
So.
then yeah.
Hmm. So when the cousin told you that she was having an affair, so you immediately left at that point?
No.
No. Okay.
Um Confronted her and she denied it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and then,
And
but you still chose to leave after that?
we weren't married. Remember, we weren't married at that time. I chose well,
Oh, wait, please forgive me because I think I got kind of lost there. I thought that this had happened after you were married.
no,
So she cheated
before we were married.
before?
Yes.
Oh, so I got to ask you, if you had that doubt, why did you choose to go ahead with the marriage then?
I guess because I I let that slide and then things happened and got involved with her, um to be honest with you, sexually. And then me being, a naive person,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of thinking, that I should I should, you know, honor and treat her correctly. Being
Even though you had some doubts come up about her fidelity, you still wanted to honor her.
I was I was very naive.
No worries.
And
So
yeah,
so we wanna get a better understanding. Okay, so my apologies. I thought this was after you got married. So you found out all these things. So now you get married. You look past these things. So you're in the marriage. So then, what made you leave the marriage? Because I thought the that was what made you leave, but so it was evidently something else. So after you had got
yeah,
married, what then ended the marriage, or who ended the marriage after 3
I
months?
did. I did
Okay.
because yeah,
Yes.
because one evening I had always heard about the guy that supposedly she was having an affair with. So
Mhm.
one evening, late at night, I drove past I found out where he lives. Drove past his house and I
Mhm.
found her car
Mhm.
parked in front of his house at like
Ah,
2 a.m. in the morning.
okay.
I'm naive, but I'm not stupid. I wasn't that stupid naive.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah,
And so that was it then? You saw that, and so that's what
yeah,
made you just split.
correct. That's
Okay.
when I filed divorce. Yep.
Gotcha. Well, I actually I commend you for that because most men would have kept going after that. So the fact that you could step away, were you able to annul the marriage, or did it have to be a divorce?
I think it was a
3
a
months.
divorce. I think
Okay.
it was a divorce because
Okay.
I think it was a divorce.
Okay, so we're gonna get to your second marriage. Now, your second marriage, which is what you're currently in now, correct?
Correct.
How long have you all been married?
30 years.
30 years, and this is pretty much the meat of this discussion and why you're on here. So 30 years. So before we go back into how you all met, I want you, David, to tell me what life is like living with your second wife. And what is her name?
Candace.
Candace. And what does Candace do for a living?
She works at a retail shop,
Gotcha. Which
selling
is she,
clothes.
okay? So she's in retail.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, are you considered to be the breadwinner of your home?
Yes, very much.
Okay. So I don't want to give up your income, but I want the audience to know the type of man that you are. And I know everything doesn't come down to finances, but we would be liars if we did admit that the amount of money a man makes, people tend to stand up and look at that, as part of his masculinity. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to get deep into it, but are you considered to be over six figures?
Yes.
Okay. Are you over 200,000?
No. Just below that, actually.
Just below that. So do you understand why I did that? I hate to do that. But the times that we're living in, I almost had to do that so people understand what's going on here. So we're going to go to, you said her name was Candace, right?
Correct.
30 years married with Candace. Can you tell us a little bit about what life is like with your wife, Candace, of 30 years?
Um, Initially, it started out okay, not great. When I say that, um, we got married, and then I took a job out of town, and almost immediately. And I thought she would, follow me immediately. She decided to stay where she was for a few months. Not that big of a deal, but um,
Would you consider that to be a red flag?
it was. I didn't. It was a red flag. Yeah, wasn't a huge red flag. Wasn't a huge red flag. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then after that, what happened next?
Next, we had probably some of the best years of our lives. We went on cruises. We we went on cruises. There was a few job changes, different cities, and then finally we had our daughter.
Gotcha.
And
I would say before we go too far back in the past, today, like 2022, what is life like with your wife, Candace? And we'll go back a little bit in the past, but what's it like today? What are the different things that you deal with your wife today?
today, the biggest issues are her philosophy of money. She's always told me my money is hers and her money is hers.
Oh, her money is hers. And is she joking when she says that?
No.
Well, let me ask you, how do you know that she's not joking?
For years, I carried the load on everything. I paid all the car notes.
Mm,
I still pay the entire house note.
mm, mhm.
Um, um,
Are there any bills that your wife pays?
Finally, after in the past 3 years, she's paid her car note.
I mean, any other household bills that she pays? Like, does she contribute to savings or retirement or towards the mortgage, anything like that?
Not towards the mortgage. She has her own savings, her own
Mhm.
retirement.
Hmm.
I don't bother with that because I'm concentrated on my well, our retirement. That's what I'm concentrated on.
I understand.
Yeah, and then one of the biggest bills now is our daughter's college fund, putting our daughter through college.
Right. What are some of the other ways that you feel that there's a lack of respect in your household?
Um, Basically, her belittlement of me.
How does she
One,
belittle you?
her she's told me several times that blood is thicker than water, meaning that her family is more important to her than me.
Now,
And,
what did she say exactly? What was the circumstance where she said that?
um, well, one thing is political views. Me
Mm.
and her are opposite ends of the political views,
Okay.
and
We don't have to
with
go
that,
too deep into that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a big issue.
Okay.
It's amazing, but seems like a lot of Black families, that's a big issue today.
And so, how
Um,
has it affected your family in particular?
I'm not invited to family outings, not
You
invited to
mean her side of the family?
her side of the family.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yes. Um,
So you mean
um,
that she goes to family functions where she knows that her husband is not invited to?
Correct.
Does she have a problem with that?
She asked me, do I have a problem with that? And I tell her no.
But does she have a
Um,
problem with that? Because that means
no,
if her
she
husband's
doesn't.
not
She doesn't.
welcomed, it would mean that then she's not welcomed, right? If her husband's not.
Nope. Nope.
Mm.
She's welcome, but I'm not welcome.
Wow. And how long has it been like that?
Since 2018.
Wow. And how does that make you feel?
I overlook it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really overlook it. I just say, well, I have a stance that I take.
Right. Hmm.
You know, I'm a patriot. I love my country. That's my
Yes.
stance.
Yes. So she has like a different view.
Correct.
In what other ways would you say, David, that you feel your wife, in a sense, um, what did we say before? I think we say shows,
Belittle. Yeah.
yes, belittles or disrespects you. What other ways have you noticed that?
Well, throughout the years, I've had opportunities to advance in the corporate setting,
Hmm.
to take good management positions,
Hmm.
but they involved um, moving to moving to places where there were very little African Americans,
Hmm.
places where my wife did not want to go.
Hmm.
And because of that, she gave me the ultimatum. She said, you can go,
Hmm.
but me and my daughter, we stay where we stay.
Mm. Okay, so let me ask you about that. So when she said that, what was running through your mind because I can imagine you're thinking, I'm the head of the household. This is the move that I need to make for my job. Of course, my family's going to go with me. I can imagine. Was that your thoughts? Was that what you were thinking was going to happen, or did you already know?
She told me what it was. And then, so
Right.
the
I
thing
I,
is,
I mean, meaning I should say before you told her, before she knew about it, in your mind, did you have a picture of her just accepting, yes, we must go because my husband has a job here? Was that what you were anticipating before she ever knew about it?
no, I'll tell you one
Oh, so
specific
you
example.
already knew that she wasn't going to accept that. Mhm.
She made it very clear, made it
Mhm.
very clear.
Mhm.
And yeah, I had a very high increase offered to me on very high management level. It came by FedEx, the offer. My wife hid it from me for 2 days.
Oh, goodness. So she hid this offer for this new job. So how did you find out? What happened?
After 2 days, she finally came to me with it. And she said, you know, basically, she said that, yeah, I know you can make your decision. And so at that time, here I was, I'm a man with a wife and a 3-month-old baby. Am I going to separate that family? No.
Right.
So I turned down this high level job, and for an African American man, that's hard. It is.
I
can imagine, because
can only imagine.
Your opportunities are few sometimes. Even, you know, you can have great talent, can
Right.
outshine everybody, but yeah.
So she hid it from you, and then she let it be known that had you have chosen that she was going to leave you with her baby.
Correct.
Even though at this time I can imagine you were pretty much holding down the entire household.
Oh yeah.
So I got to dig in a little bit, and I hate to do this. How did that make you feel? What were your thoughts? Honest thoughts.
My honest thoughts were, you know, through the years, you know, it's brought up anger issues in me.
Well, I mean, I should say at the time. At the time when you knew the job was right there, you can do it. You can take care of your home. You can take care of your family. You can make good for yourself. And your wife tells you no. What did you feel then?
At the end, it hurt, but then you know, my thoughts were, here I am, this gorgeous 3-month-old baby.
Yeah.
You know, that was my number one thought. My 3-month-old baby.
Right. You just didn't want to be separated from her. So basically, it's even if you have to sacrifice your career, you didn't want to be separated from your baby.
Correct.
I understand. Oh, I don't want to stay there for too long.
And I'll just add this. This scenario occurred 3, maybe 4 times in my career. I basically had to choose the second or third best offer 3 or 4 times in my career, not just once. Yeah.
And this is because this is because your wife didn't want to move.
Same reasons. Did not want to move.
And you didn't
did not want to move to that location.
Yes. And your reason for following along with your wife was fear that your wife would take your daughter away from you.
Correct.
So let me ask you a question. So after these different offers have been gone and passed by, and you're living with this woman that essentially is forcing you to make this financial and familial decisions that you don't want to make, what did that do to your relationship?
It's drove a wedge between us. It's actually through the years, it's like I said, caused me with anger issues, you know. I don't get physical, but you know, it's pent up emotions inside that, you know, that I have to hold in, and then eventually I did let it go. You know, I'm at the state I'm at now, and I just let a lot of that go. I'm like, okay, because I look at a lot of things and I say it could be worse.
Yeah, that's it. We can all say that it absolutely always could be worse. But I want to add this question, and this one's going to cut kind of deep if you're able, and you know, if you're able to handle this question. You're okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay. So you still have to deal with the same woman
Correct.
after 30 years, challenging your manhood. How is intimacy possible in a situation like this? Is it possible at all?
You said intimate, but
Intimacy, is it possible in a situation like
um,
this? Because we know intimacy is extremely important and
it's complicated
mhm,
for another reason, the political reason too,
mhm,
which um, unfortunately I begged my wife. I said, "Do not get the jab," and I
mhm.
think y'all know what that is.
Yes,
She
yes.
did, and she continued to do it.
Mhm,
And so I'm hearing all types of stories that the jab is
mhm.
potentially gives you HIV and all of this. I don't know how true that is.
Mhm. So is
Yeah,
that the thing that is affecting your intimacy?
partly, yes.
And I would say if you take that part away, before, was there an issue there then? Because
There was.
that's a
There
very
was.
that's a very difficult thing to overcome when you feel like your wife is not trusting your lead. Not only is she not trusting your lead, but she's not allowing you to lead at all. I can imagine that would affect your feelings, you know, that can um, affect your intimacy towards her. I can imagine.
It does. But I'm kind of conflicted with my wife.
Hmm.
I, I know there's a good part about her. She's a good person. Um, she's a good person. She has her faults. Like I have my faults.
Right.
I have my faults. So I look at it and I say, okay, Dave, it is what it is. At this juncture in my life, what I'm trying to do is one, help my daughter as best as I can.
Oh, and that's another question. How old is your daughter?
20.
Do you believe that your daughter is prepared to be a wife, and do you feel that that you and your wife have raised her to be a wife, or how do you feel that you've raised her? Because some say, you can be raised to be a wife, and then others are raised essentially to be career women. How do you feel that you raised your daughter?
Part of my problem was because I wasn't allowed to take the best positions to establish a secure home
Hmm.
at the best position. I've had to travel and take second, third jobs because sometimes there was a miss. So getting back to your
Okay,
point,
can I
what
can I,
that
I
meant,
oh, sorry. I wanna make sure that language is clear because you said you weren't in your best position. And what is that what you said?
I said that because I wasn't allowed to take the best opportunities, I had to take at many times. I had to, like, let's say you had a job and your skill set is perfect for that job and the
Okay.
money is right,
Mhm.
but you're told, nope, for whatever reason, you can't take that. So what
Okay.
do? You take your second or your third choice.
Can I make it clear? Because
Yes,
I it's not you. It's the way my mind is. I have to make things like elementary school, like kindergarten clear. What I'm hearing is that you didn't feel that you could take your position in your household as the head of the house, the leader, the headship. That's what I'm hearing.
I definitely was not the head of the
Okay.
leader of the house.
Now,
I paid the bills. I if Dave's check stops coming, we go into bankruptcy easily.
right. So even though that was your stance, like you had control like financial control, you somehow did not feel that you were the leader of the household because your wife dangled over your head that she could leave you at any time and take your daughter, and she knew
Correct.
that the court systems were on her side. Is that what you're saying? I just want to I
Correct.
got to make it real clear.
Yep. And if
Okay.
you want me to make another point to make it even
Yes.
clearer than
Yes,
that,
please.
what she's been saying the past couple of months
Mm.
is, if we get a divorce, you pay alimony for the rest of your life.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like, I'm not the one that brought up divorce.
Mm.
Not, I didn't bring it up, but
Now, what
she's
would
bringing
make
it up.
her say that? Like, why would she say that out of the blue?
Probably because she has friends talking in her ear,
Mm.
friends and relatives talking in her ear. That's my guess.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to dig kind of deep here. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so she's saying these things. So, do you believe that your wife respects you?
She doesn't in a way, and in other ways she doesn't. I
You
think
say,
she
let's do it in percentage. What percent do you believe that your wife respects you after she said to your face that she would leave you and that you'd have to pay half of your, retirement alimony towards her? After hearing her say that, after all the years of her stopping your progress in your career because she didn't want to do, she wanted to do what she wanted to do, what percent would you say that your wife respects you?
maybe 20%, maybe.
Okay, 20%. Okay, so here's the hard question. You ready?
Yes,
You sure? It's going to be tough.
yes.
How much does your self respect cost? Because essentially, she's bought your self respect for 20% of your income, let's say.
Well,
At what point do you make a decision? And I definitely don't want to. I know you're in you're in a settled place. It seems like I'm ruffling the feathers, and so I don't want to ruffle the feathers too much. But it's heartbreaking sometimes when I hear a man say, that he's not being respected in his own home that he's paying for, because he knows that the woman can essentially drag him through the mud and take half of what he's created. So these are tough, tough, tough decisions. But what does it cost for you? What would you be willing to spend to be able to be free and to be the man that you want to be without some woman, you know, blocking you?
well,
What it,
the other issue
yeah.
she does that dangle in my face is she tells me, well, I'm closer to my daughter than you are. She tells me that.
That is true, but I would wonder, how old is your daughter?
20.
She's 20 years old, so your daughter's an adult.
Correct.
Yeah. So I can imagine your wife dangling your daughter in front of your face at, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But now that she's 20, so let me ask you this. How is the relationship between you and your daughter?
It's my daughter tells me she loves me.
Yes.
Um, she doesn't call. I call her all the time.
Mm.
Um, she I think our relationship's a little strained because my wife probably tells her stuff
Yeah.
um that's not true, or you know
To put you in a
um
bad light, because typically
yeah, to
that's
put
what
me
we
in a
do.
put me in a bad light.
That's that's what we do. Women, as soon as we have any problems in our marriage, we will run to whoever will listen. Mother, father, dog, priest, daughter, son, aunt, coworker, whoever we can run to complain about how horrible our husband is. That's what we'll do. So let me ask you, when it comes to your daughter though, do you think your daughter has viewed you as the head of your family and as the head of your household? Do you believe that that's how your daughter views you?
I think she does in her heart. Um, I I think, but her value system has been twisted by my wife. That's the issue, I think.
Right.
I think the thing about it is, she's probably needs she doesn't have her values. Like, for instance, I tried to tell her she needs to get summer jobs.
Right. And she doesn't do
Uh,
it.
no,
So,
won't do it.
I think that kind of drives us right back to that original question of, do you think that your daughter sees you as the head of your household and as the head of your family? Because essentially, if that's how she saw you as, her authority, her headship, her leadership, she'd maybe have a better time of keeping those jobs. So we're going to go right back to that question. Do you think your daughter sees you as a leader of your household?
Probably not, because the
Probably
other
not.
thing I could tell you a specific instance.
Yes.
Well, the other instance is my wife, you know, made sure that my daughter got the jab also,
Yes.
against my wishes.
Right. So your
And
daughter knows that your mom's, whatever mom says, that's what goes.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the other issue is this kind of complicated, because of course she went to one of these schools that won't let you attend unless you get the jab, type of
Right.
thing.
So that's a very
But
tough.
if she had to
Well,
talk
yeah.
to Daddy, David would have told her, let's look for a school that you do not have to get the jab, or
Right.
if you really have to, let's sit it out for a year or two.
But she didn't trust you.
Yeah,
She didn't trust you. And so let me ask you, dead serious question. Do you blame her?
I don't blame my daughter. I blame my wife.
You blame your wife.
Correct.
You blame your wife for you not being in your position that you're supposed to be in. So this is when the young men are going to have to hear this.
That's true.
Right.
And
And
yeah,
so I think, and we're kind of coming full circle here because, and let me just take this aside for just a minute. And this is what I would tell young men and my own sons. I'm not a man, I'm a woman. And so I understand how we need to be guided. I think what a lot of men have chosen to do now, and even 2 decades before now, or even 3 decades, I think men think that if you kowtow, listen to, do what a woman says, that somehow that's gonna garner her affections, that's gonna win her over. And I try desperately to tell men that is not how this works. We have to be controlled in a very stern way. You are you you're still there? Yes, make sure you're still
yes,
there.
I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So this is what I'm trying to explain to men. What you men have been told for a very long time is that women are the prize and that we're sweet, delicate, lovely flowers. And if you just do what we say and keep us happy, like they say, happy wife, happy life. That is the biggest lie ever told. As men, no matter how much it hurts you to do it, you have to almost treat us like children. Your yes has to be yes, and your no has to be no. And I would say in cases like yours, and many men have dealt with this, where there was a move that needed to be made for the betterment of your family. And so many men choose not to do it because their wife puts her foot down. And I would just say the way it has to go, you make your decision And if she's on board, she's on board. But if she's not, she's not. That is the only way you're going to garner the respect of your woman. But it's very difficult, right? Because she dangles your children over your head. Would you agree?
Yes, I definitely
Yeah,
agree in my case,
right.
definitely.
But in the
Probably in a lot of
end,
other cases.
oh, absolutely. But in the end, did you somehow, now that your daughter's an adult, were you able to win her approval? Were you able to win the approval of your daughter doing it this way? Would you say?
At this point, I'm more concerned with my daughter understanding life, and like you said, hopefully she finds happiness in a good man. But
But
that's what I'm concerned with.
do you feel that you have won the obedience in a sense of your daughter? Does your daughter trust your word?
No.
That
Be-
and that right there, we're going to stop. That right there is what I want to stop and point to, because so many men, I think, believe that if they listened and did what their woman said, and she dangled your daughter, so you did what she said, so you wouldn't lose that relationship. But at the end of the day, at 20 years old, your daughter does not trust in what you say. She doesn't trust in your leadership and guidance. So would you tell the young men, you got two roads, would you tell the young men to, yes, go along and make sure that your wife is happy, so that you do what she says? Or would you say you put your foot down and make your yes be yes and your no be no? And if there's moves that need to be made, that you make those moves as the head of the household. And that's an honest question. Which would you say to the young men coming up?
I would tell them, as you said, have your yes be yes and your no be no. It's funny, my father told me that,
Yeah.
and I didn't listen to him.
Right. Why don't you think you did? Why don't you think? Because you were given. Here's the thing. The people in. Well, I didn't ask you. How old are you?
Well, let's just say over 60.
Okay, over 60. So I'm. I can say like this. I'm over 20. Just
Yes.
kidding. But we've been all told. We've been. Some of us have been given factual information. So this generation is coming up. They're not even going to hear that. So you heard it. But what made you not listen? That's what we want to get down. What made you not listen to that sound advice from, you said, your grandfather?
No, my father.
Your father. So he was from the old school. What made you not listen?
I I don't think I didn't listen. That's another
Mhm.
topic to get into. Is my
Nah.
father? um, My father, he rarely gave me advice,
But he gave you that
and
piece of
he
advice.
gave me that piece of advice. Yes.
So what was it about that piece that you kind of strayed from?
It
Was it
wasn't that
something?
I was not listening to my father at the
Mhm.
time. It was that I guess I was pulled more with the attraction of a woman.
I was hoping that you would say it. Because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's going to skirt around it.
But
That's it.
looking at, I'll tell you another piece of
Yeah.
advice my father told me, and I didn't listen to this.
Mm,
He told me when I had trouble with my first wife, he says, son, don't chase these women. Let them chase you.
God dog it.
And I didn't listen to that either.
At
But
the end of this, I'm going to attach a clip, and it's going to be a clip from Morgan Freeman, and he gives that exact advice. The
yes,
worst thing that you can do as a man is to chase a woman. But I'm gonna take you off the hook a little bit, Dave, because I believe that your generation and mine has been fed a lie that you're supposed to chase these women, put them on a pedestal. They're the best things ever. But you understand now, that looking back, now we can say that we were being indoctrinated with an evil propaganda. Can you agree? Or maybe
I'd
not,
have
or
to go
maybe
back.
not.
No, I
Yeah.
have to go back and see. I mean, from I have to make sure that I'm not conflicting it. The Bible does say when you find a good woman,
Absolutely.
and I don't know if it says to put her on a pedestal, but
It
definitely
doesn't. It's supposed
it
it
is
says
that
that you're
she
supposed
is
to
a
love
true.
her like Christ loved the church.
Yes. So, but then like Christ loves church, he's always going to give you the best advice, even if it isn't
I
in
guess
agreement with you.
what I was saying when I was talking about the what the world presents a very fantastical view of what love is supposed to be like, a very Disney
Correct.
view. The world presents to you romance and you know, the love note, like you complete me. They present a very fanciful view of love and marriage. And so what I'm saying is, even though that your father gave you sound advice about
Correct.
not chasing women, you went against that. And I was saying that you and me and many others like us went against that because we're going up against very difficult propaganda that takes
Correct.
away the true meaning of marriage, and that is self-sacrifice. Sacrificing yourself for the greater good. It's about the man being in the head and us as women being your helpmeet. And so instead of going that way, I think that propaganda, the movies, the commercials, the TV shows, everything presented to us an unrealistic view of what marriage is supposed to be, and an unrealistic view of what our roles should be. And I think at the end of it, we all fell for it. Um, and in your case, I believe it's not too late. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, as like I said, at this point in my life, I started a new business,
Oh, very good.
and that's part. My drive is my daughter
Yes.
and my business, taking care of my retirement,
Absolutely.
and then if if I have to drag dead weight along with me, I will. I mean,
Dead weight.
I don't, you know, she, well, she's not really that much. There's, like I said, there's good parts of Candace.
Mhm.
There's good parts of Candace, but then it makes it difficult. But then I my mind says put Candace here.
Mhm.
It's like in that one movie, what's his name? That one actor, and he says, "Well, I know so and so is a screw up, but I know she screws up." And that's
I don't know that movie. Hey, but
I didn't say that.
let me ask this
Oh,
question.
oh no,
Oh,
yes. Oh no, it was the what's that movie? With Samuel L. Jackson,
Pulp Fiction.
Jackie Brown,
Oh,
Jackie Brown.
oh yeah, Jackie Brown. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but just to
Yeah.
bring it back a little bit, because I know our time, we're gonna my videos tend to run a little long, so we're gonna have to start to wrap it up. But I do want to ask, if your wife Candace all of a sudden turned things around and really just began to follow your lead and support you and do as she was told, and I'm sure she's a good housekeeper and she cooks and everything for you.
No,
Oh,
actually, that's the
okay.
part
Well,
we forgot to talk about. She's a
oh, okay.
horrible
Oh,
housekeeper.
oh no. Oh
Um,
no. But she
she
has her
doesn't
job, yes?
cook.
Does she have a job?
She has a job.
She does have a job.
Um, yeah, I mean, and that's I never required her to work.
So
I
she
re-
works because she wants to,
correct.
but she doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to. I
Okay.
never required our income. Our income is probably negatively affected by it because she
Yeah,
uses her
because
money
at a
and
certain
spends it
point,
frivolously.
yeah.
And so when it comes tax time, it
Mhm.
kills us in taxes.
Yes.
And there's nothing really to, it's like if you buy 20 pairs of shoes
Right.
and they're scattered all over the house, what good is that?
I understand. So let me rephrase that then. So if it, well, if your wife did really, if she's just said to you, you know what, honey, all these years I haven't been following your lead. I really want to now. Um, I just want to serve you. And she started keeping house, cooking for you, cleaning, supporting you as a woman, would all be forgotten.
Yes.
And you would be fine with that if she started to rekindle and get back into her place. If she learned, you all would be forgotten for you.
Yes, it would, because that
Now,
would, yeah.
yes. Now, if you then presented a united front for your daughter, do you think, like, if she knew that mom was on par with dad, do you think that it would make it easier for you to control, not necessarily control, but to guide your daughter in the ways that she's supposed to go as far as her career and marriage?
Yes,
You
because
think
I
so?
don't,
Mhm.
I would think that if I was, my daughter's a good student in school,
Yes.
happy, very happy about that. But then
Yeah.
I have to think about, I mean, I've seen good students not to do too well in life.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
more
Because they need that
concerned about how she
guidance. Yeah.
does in life.
Right.
And really what I want is, like you said, if me and my wife had a united front, if we
Right.
were showing
Yeah.
her a good image,
Hmm.
I
It would be
I would
kind of
think
easier
that
to
could
guide
only be
her.
positive. That could
Right.
only be positive, I would think.
Because
But
at the end, when she comes to mom and dad are united. Hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm thinking about this. Hey, we think you should do this. So she'd be more open to listen, I would think.
correct. And because the other
So,
thing that I've seen with my daughter is she does listen to my wife more. However,
mhm.
I've seen her complain about my wife. I've seen actually
Right.
her and my wife have gotten in a fist fight.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they got into
Yeah,
physical violence before. And we've
yeah.
seen that sometimes, especially between mothers and daughters. It's almost like a love-hate relationship. So when there was a fist fight, where were you? And how were you involved in any way, or this was when you weren't home?
I was I was home and I
Mhm.
heard it. I went running and I tried my best to stop my daughter, but then I didn't want him to grab my daughter wrong.
Yeah.
And I did it was awkward for me because um we also have a small family pet, and unfortunately I
Mhm.
had to protect that pet.
Okay.
Um
But either
and
way, it was
yeah,
a situation that seems like it was pretty much out of control in your household.
it was very out of
Very out of
control. It was
control. Okay.
I'm just grateful. No, I'm grateful they didn't hurt themselves. I'm grateful that nothing in our house was broken, but
Okay.
more that, yeah.
One another question or two before we start to really wind down here. Um, all of these things that are going on in your household, the difficulty to control the circumstances, what has this done to you as far as how are you feeling about all this? I mean, is this like a stress that you carry with you
Yes, it
daily,
is.
or is it
It
okay?
is. It is stress.
Hmm.
And I could tell over the years, um, before I was married, blood
Hmm.
pressure, perfect.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Um, Health, my life was organized. I'd go to the
Right.
gym, work out, have time, it's organized.
Yeah.
Then slowly things creeped. My blood pressure got to the point
Mhm.
where there was one time I was almost died because of my blood pressure one
And
time.
you think that was directly related to the stress that was going on in your life?
Stress, yes,
Yeah.
definitely stress. And then the other issue was at one point my wife was cooking
Hmm.
and I begged her, no salt. I can't, wouldn't listen to me, wouldn't listen to
Mm-hmm.
me.
I see.
And
And she just kept putting it.
then
Yeah.
finally got to the point where I cooked for myself and just stopped eating her cooking.
Yeah.
And
So
now
that's
my
kind of
blood
like where
pressure
you
is under
are.
control. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But still, there's still an element of stress that you always have to
Yeah. There's still that
address.
stress, but then I think I deal with that stress because I don't understand. I understand how to that it's there. It's like I said
Yes.
back.
Yeah, I think it seems like your fear in particular, I mean, to get it right down, it's the fear that your wife essentially can ruin you financially if she wanted to. Everything that you've
In a
built.
way, I don't really think too much on that. She brings that up, so I know that can happen.
So what is
But
what is your reason for not leaving the situation? Because essentially your daughter is a grown adult. So what would your reason
well,
be for not leaving this?
I'm gonna be honest.
Yes,
I thought
please,
about this.
please be honest. It helps. Yeah.
I keep saying, Dave, because I saw a picture the other day
Hmm.
of a man in his 70 and he married a 25-year-old, and then they had 4 kids.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and it's like, okay, he's 70, married this beautiful 25-year-old.
Hmm.
If somehow that happened to me, I'd
Okay,
probably jump on it.
well, absolutely. Okay, but you're skating the question here, so I'm gonna
Okay.
roll right back around. So one thing about my channel, I do not
Yes.
let these questions pass. So we're gonna put you right back in the question, and we're gonna ask then, why
Yes.
do you not leave your situation that you're in if you're not afraid, as you said, of her taking half? Your daughter is now
Well,
grown. Then why do you stay in a situation where you're not respected? So we're gonna
okay,
try again.
let's try that
We're gonna
again.
try
Like
again.
you said, okay, if I
Mhm.
think about it,
Yeah.
maybe it's not a fear of
Mhm.
losing my finances, but then how messy is that situation for me? It's
Mhm.
easier and more convenient. Of course, I have to think about the mental health of my daughter. That's
Mhm.
one. Then
Oh, she's an
two,
adult now. Mhm.
yeah, but
Yeah, I
she's still,
understand that. I get it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Then two, even though maybe I won't say I'm afraid or fearful,
Mhm.
what it really boils down to is, okay, like preparing for this, I said, well, my wife's not too bad of a person. She's actually a very good person. She just has a
Mhm.
bunch of flaws.
Okay.
Okay. And then that's one. Then two, my situation, it would make it messy. Okay, so let's say I have this alimony I have to pay for it. Maybe, okay, then I have to think about it. Okay, I pay her that alimony. Hopefully my business takes off.
Mhm.
Knowing my wife, she's going to be tracking my business. And the way I understand alimony is every time my income goes up, every time the husband's income goes up, the ex-wife gets a
Can I
raise.
jump in?
Yes.
You know what I'm hearing?
What's that?
Fear. I'm
Mm,
hearing fear, 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 because you're gonna have to get your wife is gonna be in your business. You're gonna have to give her half, and so it's way more comfortable for you. And it's okay. And if that's your
yeah.
choice, let that be your choice. But um, you're way more comfortable being in a situation where your wife or your daughter doesn't respect your authority. You're way more comfortable to be in that situation than to rock the boat a bit and kind of go out on your own. And, I would think as far as your daughter's mental health, I think her mental health would be much better if she had a father that kind of stood his ground. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing this for her mental health, because it's not necessarily good seeing roles kind of reversed, because at this point she doesn't trust you. Now, I understand you got to make the decisions that are best for you,
Yeah.
but isn't it good to just be honest about those decisions? You know what I'm saying? In a sense, you're making a decision so that you don't have to stress or worry about what your wife's going to do. I mean, it kind of is what it is. And so at the end of the day, we're doing these videos so that young men don't get caught in the situation that you're caught in. Because
Oh
this is a
yeah,
very
definitely.
difficult decision to make. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Oh yeah,
easy.
definitely.
Right.
If it was addressed 20 years ago,
Oh gosh. Oh my God.
whole
What?
different, yeah, good situation, better situation.
Absolutely. So what would you say as we're winding down here? So know that there are I'm able to look at it at the analytics of my channel, and I have mostly male subscribers of all ages. So, what would you say to the young men now that have not married and do not have children? What advice would you give them from your situation? What would you tell them is a good way to move, especially in these times in
Well,
2022?
yeah, as my father said, um, don't chase the woman.
Yeah,
If there's chasing to be involved, then she's the wrong one.
yeah.
Um, find a good woman, a good wife, um, and then also plan. That's one thing that I really didn't do. Life was happening. It seemed when I was young, life was just happening to me
Yes.
fast.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
graduating college, getting out of graduate school,
Mhm.
finding a job, um, doing whatever your boss say do.
Right.
Life was just happening so fast,
Right.
and then it's like there's no, and then unfortunately going to a church that really didn't fit my values,
Mhm.
um, and did looking back at it really well. We'll leave that alone. I was going to
Okay.
say, let's just say, if you look, take a in that particular situation, take a look at what you're doing in your life, and sit down and say, okay, let's whatever you're doing. If you're going to, if you're in some club and the club is not in agreement with what you feel in your heart should be right,
So
let that
basically,
club
you're
go.
saying if something doesn't feel right, if you're in a situation, just go ahead and walk away.
Correct.
Right. But in your situation, it's not that easy to walk away. So maybe
Yep.
we're telling the young people walk away in the beginning.
In the
Don't,
beginning. Yep.
right.
Way back then. And then
Yes,
when it's early on, if it's
yes,
a
you can walk
person
away.
that doesn't feel right, let them go.
Right.
If
And
it's
at the end of the day, as a man, it's just like your proper place is in headship to your family. If there's any woman that is not willing to be on board with that, then she ain't for you. We were raised
That's
up in
right.
different times. We didn't have the internet and we didn't have all this information at our fingertips. So listen to what we're saying as to adults, you know, saying you young men out there, your proper position is headship over your families. And if you allow these women to come in and usurp authority over you, essentially that could be the destruction of your family. And I think that's what we're saying is what we don't want. I think we could both agree there, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Okay. So I think we're done now. I'm going to go ahead. Any last words before we leave?
Um, Redfin, thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
I think this will be helpful because
Absolutely.
it brought out points that helped me emphasize points that I was thinking about, but I didn't. But it brought it out even more. And
Oh, awesome. No, I
thank
want
you
to
very
say
much.
thank you so much for coming on my channel. I don't do this. I have a whole different career, and the fact that you would come on here and be so vulnerable and really help these young men coming up because
Yes,
I know everyone says, that the Black community is pretty much done and dead, but even if we've done flatlined, if there's a few of us that still can preach the truth and help these young people about the right way to go,
yes.
I'm still gonna do it,
And then the
right?
other
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is the other point that I want to end in is
Mhm.
the Black women have a responsibility too.
Absolute. Oh,
If you
absolutely.
if you feel that you have to lead your man
Hmm.
before you marry him,
Hmm.
maybe he ain't the right one.
That's
Or
right.
or
Yeah.
or even more so, maybe you're not in your place.
Absolutely. But the unfortunate part about that is some women want to lead their man. Some
Correct.
women like, telling their man what to do. A lot of women, they can't, well, I would say this, they don't think they can handle a man that puts them in their place. But I would say that most women are genuinely happy when they're with a man that they can trust and keeps them in line. Most women actually like that. So there's lots of issues going on either side. But here at Red Film Diaries, we let our men have a platform. So I'm going to go ahead and put you back in the waiting room. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. So we'll talk soon, okay?
Talk soon.
Okay. Okay, all. So that was our third video. Whew, that was a long one. Um, Thank you so much, you guys, for being here and listening and following. I just don't know what to say. Thank you to our last guest for really opening up about some of the trials and tribulations that we go through as married couples. So please, here we go. Wait, hold up. Before we say my ending, and I want to do a little record, the sound. I always say, please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. No, like for real, like click the like. Click the like. It helps me out. Share the video wherever you can share it. You know what I'm saying? Just share it. So, other people can see the message. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. You can't subscribe. It's free. I do this for free. So I'm going to say it again. Ready? Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. This is Red Film Diaries. Goodbye.